Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Left Lane Odyssey video. My name is Sjoerd and in today's video we are going to get this CB750 back on the road. Alright, so in the previous video we got this bike running again after sitting for 10 plus years. If you want to check out that video, I'll have a card right here, you can check it out. We got it running, even synced the carbs, ran pretty dang good. There are definitely some issues that we need to fix with this engine. And the entire bike in general needs a lot of stuff. So I thought we'll do a quick little walk around, talk about all the stuff that this bike needs. After that we'll dive right in. Alright, so a quick little walk around. This bike is definitely very promising, but also definitely needs a lot of stuff. If you watch the previous video, you'll know about that. But it also definitely has potential, because these are the original exhaust, and even though they do have a couple of scratches, like right here, you see this thing looks pretty dang good, so I'm very happy with that. Obviously we're going to replace the oil and oil filter, seems pretty obvious. The side cover, the tab actually broke off, so we're going to have to fix that. We have that in our tote right here. Clutch cable needs to be replaced. The carbs, even though we even synced them and they ran pretty good, it does need a couple of things. For instance, I can show you on the old carbs right here. This part that holds your choke cable, that actually, the bolt actually broke off, or the screw rather. Could drill a hole and tap new threads and fix it that way, but we have these old carbs which are not going to be used anyway, so we're just going to take this rail off, swap them over, and we'll be good with that. The airbox rubbers need replacing because they don't fully seal off the carbs. It's not good for performance and filtering and stuff like that. Front tire, even though it has quite a bit of thread left, it is super old and rock solid. Definitely not safe, going to have to replace those. Same obviously for the rear. Front brake, it's on the bike, that's all it is. There's nothing inside of it, no piston, no nothing. So we're going to have to do a full rebuild on this caliper. The hard line right here is also rusted together, so we can replace the entire brake line. Luckily, the brake master cylinder is actually brand new, so that's perfect. We won't have to do anything with that. One thing that we really had problems with in the previous video was the starter clutch, which is behind here. So we're definitely going to replace that. When we take these things off, I would like to try and give them quite a bit of a polish, because these things, if I'm correct, are supposed to be polished, and these are painted, but the paint's flaking off everywhere and just not looking very good. Chain and sprocket actually seem kind of fine, so I think we are going to run that at least for now. It also really needs a touchable paint here and there and just a good polish and clean. Right, so I'm probably forgetting like a million other things, but let's just dive right in. Let's get straight to it. Right, so carbs are off the bike. As you can hopefully see right here, this is exactly where the screw broke. Could drill it out, tap new threads, but seeing how we have these old carbs right here, we're just going to transfer this over. Right, so the carbs are done. Next up would be the airbox. These are the rubbers that I really want to replace, because as you can see right here, they're pretty dang hard and should not be shaped like this. So this is definitely not going to seal off the carbs and therefore not going to work properly. Some are pretty loose, so I feel like those we'll get those out pretty easily, but this one's kind of jammed in there. Not sure whether they actually glued it or something, but it's pretty dang stuck in here. There we go. We of course have new ones. So this is one of the old ones. Obviously looks like shit. Pretty dang hard. This one, way more malleable, and as you can see, it actually has the correct shape. So should be quite the upgrade. Super easy, super malleable. This will help out a lot. So let's throw this and the carbs back on the bike, and then we'll continue with our next step. So I'm actually kind of having a hard time getting these on the carbs. I double checked buying with these that these are supposed to be for these carbs. My guess is that they're just new, so they haven't worn in yet. I compared them to the old ones, and well, yeah, this is kind of roundish, I guess. As you can see, this pretty much lines up, so that should be good. So what I'm going to do is use a heat gun, heat it up a little bit. Hopefully it becomes even more malleable. Then we can get it on here, and then we'll let it cool off. Hopefully it will kind of set, and we'll do that with all 4 of the new ones. Hopefully that's enough to actually get them on there. So let's see what happens. Right, obviously not the way you're supposed to do it, but I feel like now that they're all on there and kind of stuck, I feel like this might be a little easier to try and do it this way. So we're just gonna give it a go, see what happens. Otherwise we'll do it the way you're supposed to do it. Alright, so now that the carbs and the airbox are back on, which took way more effort than I thought it was gonna be, but it's fine, they're on there, feels pretty sturdy, looks pretty good, so that's totally cool. We're moving on. What I forgot to mention is that 2 of these actually have a broken plastic on them, the spark plug caps. It's not really that big of a deal. I mean, it ran fine, but that's definitely something you don't want to skimp out on. So we got new ones, they're from NGK. After we've done this, we're also putting in some new spark plugs. That went flying into the abyss. Alright, that should definitely do it. So that's basically everything on top done. Valves we already adjusted in the previous video. Timing we already did that. So next up would be the clutch cable. So I figured while we work on that, we might as well let the oil drain out. Of course, we have a separate oil bag right there, but just gonna let it drain out while we work on our clutch cable. Well, not too bad. Good times. Oil actually doesn't look that bad either. That's pretty good. All right, so now that we got all of that done, only thing really left to do to the engine is actually replace the starter clutch. If you watched the previous video, you saw that the starter clutch is almost completely gone out. That's quite annoying. It just wants something that works properly. So we're going to replace that. Should be relatively easy, just kind of depends on how much of a hard time the engine is going to give us, whether it wants to let go or not. Already have a new rebuild kit, so let's get straight to it. Let's dive right in. Alright, taking the cover off. I think these are still all of the original bolts, or screws I should say, and so far they are turning on loose super easy, which is definitely a surprise, but very much a welcome surprise. Alright, so unfortunately the wires from, I guess, our alternator are a little bit on the short side, so we can't take our cover off. So that means this cover does have to come off. So that does also mean that we can get to try out our new JIS screwdrivers, which is fun. Unfortunately, I do think that's gonna be a problem because they are looking pretty mangled, but I guess we'll find out. Oh no, this is not looking good. All right, that's one. Whoop, come on, baby. That's two. Good. Maybe this one as well. This isn't even a screw anymore. Jeez. Do yourself and the future owner of your bike a favor and just, if your screws look like this, just replace them. Because this is horrible. That's it. Let's go. So now we're just gonna take this bolt out. So for this specific bike, this CB750, the single overhead cam, you're gonna need a 20 by 1.5. And this should just screw right in here. And it does. Now we basically should be able to either with quite a bit of resistance or with quite some leverage or with just a ugga-dugga get this thing off. But to make our lives a little bit easier, I'm going to put a little bit of heat on this. Hopefully that'll make it expand just enough so when we give it a punch, it'll actually come off. Wow, that was super easy. No way. Alright, so that was way easier than expected. Last time I had to do this on a single overhead cam 750, same model, different bike. I had to use a whole lot of fire and a big ass hammer to get this thing off. But it, as you saw, it came off super easy. Hopefully that also had to do something with the prep work, but let's be real, we just mostly got lucky. Let's rebuild this thing. Alright, so to replace this, it's actually ridiculously easy. All you have to do is just take it all out. And probably just use an old screwdriver and pop it out like that. This thing right here also has to come out if it wants to. And as you can hopefully see, I'm not sure, there's a spring behind this thing as well. I'm gonna take both of those out as well. There we go. And all we have to do is put the new parts in there and we'll be done. Alright, so when reassembling, make sure that you put it on all the way, because it's quite easy to get it like this. I think you're good. I actually had that, but I'm happy that I caught it. So when you put it back, make sure that these are all in and that this hole, I guess you would call it, fits over here. So when we put it back, it kind of feels like it doesn't want to fit, and then all of a sudden, boom, Bob's your uncle. Now we put our bolt in. Quickly gonna check the owner's manual for the torque spec, because I have no idea. Alright, I'm just gonna Google it. So this bolt gets tightened down to 97 Newton meters of torque, which is 72 foot-pounds of torque, which is quite a lot, so don't be scared, like me. Right, so at this point we could just slap it together with some new gasket and call it a day. But I'm not really happy with the way the covers are looking currently. They're painted, they're not supposed to be painted. And the paint job was done pretty poorly. You can still see all kinds of scratches, paint is flaking off, etc, etc. So the previous owner actually gave me another cover for the gearbox. This one is looking way better, and as you can imagine, this one would be pretty easy to polish up to something very nice. So what I want to do is put this cover and the other two covers in some paint stripper, leave it overnight, and then tomorrow we'll try and take all the paint off, sand it down, and polish it to a nice finish. Alright, so we finally got all the paint off. To be honest, it was a bit more work than I anticipated. The paint that wasn't flaking off was still pretty stuck on there, but as you can tell, we got it all off. Used a couple of different Scotch-Brite patches, and I think it looks pretty damn good. The other cover that the previous owner gave me, without any prep work, I just started polishing it, and it's already pretty dirty, but as you can see, there's a pretty big difference. This has a pretty nice mirror finish, but as you perhaps can also tell, there are still quite a couple of scratches. So hopefully I've scuffed up these other ones good enough that it will give us a nicer finish, but only one way to find out. Let's get to polishing. Alright, so this is them polished. As you can see, we got a pretty nice finish going on. Already got a couple of smudges on there because my hands, of course, are obviously dirty, but we got a really nice reflection going on. So what I want to do is quickly clean up all the heads of the screws because they are still quite nasty and got old paint on them. So we'll use a wire wheel to clean those up. After that, we'll quickly clean up the mating surfaces so our gaskets will actually function. Already have our new starter clutch in, of course, so this side should be done after that. Let's quickly clean this up. Just 40 more times to go. Alright, actually almost forgot that we of course have to put a new seal in our gearbox cover. Alrighty, we got the side covers on. Those are looking really good. The final polish is going to be after we are completely done with the bike, because we are going to touch this thing with our dirty hands and gotta get new scratches in there, all kinds of dirty smudges and stuff like that. But it's looking really damn good if you ask me. So next up, one of the things that definitely needs to happen is the front brake. So the master cylinder is brand new, never been used before, so I have a feeling we won't have to do anything to that, but the brake lines are, as far as I know, the original brake lines, so those definitely have to go. So we got new brake lines, banjo bolts, pressure washers, stuff like that. And the brake caliper right here is actually just a mock-up. The previous owner told me he just threw it on there to see what it would look like, but there's no piston or any seals or anything in there. So of course we got a rebuild kit. So what I'm going to do right now is we're just going to take all the stuff off, put it on the bench, put all the new stuff back on, rebuild the caliper in the meantime, and we should have a brand new, fully functioning front brake. Let's dive right in. Alright, so we got everything disassembled and everything came loose pretty easily, so that's very good. The inside of the caliper is very nasty, so we definitely are going to have to clean that up. Swing arm was moving totally fine. I thought we didn't have to do anything to it, but as you can see right now, the bolt right here is kind of rusty and barely any grease left, so we'll definitely be re-greasing that with this right here. Of course, we're going to rebuild the caliper, a new piston and seal. These are the old brake lines. The hard line and the old brake line have become one, so that definitely needs replacing. And as you can see right here, that's definitely not looking good. So we got new brake lines and a new hard line right here, so that should be good. New banjo bolts and pressure washers and everything like that. Old banjo bolts looking very crusty, so definitely replacing all that. So what we have to do is now just clean everything up, put our rebuild kit in, or just piston and seal I should say. Then we should be able to just slap it all back together and put it back on the bike and have a very nicely functioning front brake. Alright, got a new seal and piston in the brake caliper. Got our brake pads in as well. Greased those up. This is all nice and cleaned up. Got a whole lot of new grease in there as well, so that should move super nice. So all we're gonna do is just throw this thing back on the bike. Alright, got the brake caliper back on the bike again. Mounted everything quite loosely because I have a feeling we're gonna take this back off again. So next up would be the brake lines. So we have our new lines right here, and the top one is a little bit longer, but it's not really that big a deal. But on the bottom side, this one, as you can tell, is quite a bit longer, especially think about the fact that we still have to attach our hard line to this. As you can see, the length difference is quite notable. But we're gonna try. I mean, worst case scenario, we'll buy something else, but I think it'll work out fine. So we'll just slap this on the bike. Mock-up is done. Hardline is totally fine, just like this. I'm happy with that. The brake line, this part, this is very long. I don't know whether I think it's too long to the point where I wouldn't accept this, but doesn't look very good, especially if you compare. The old line would basically sit something like this. So as you can see, there's quite a big difference. Not super happy about that, but also not really bothered by how long this is. So we'll think about that. On the top side as well, right here, this is pretty long. Actually comes back all the way here. Then it's attached here. So both of these are too long, which is a little bit unfortunate because I ordered these to be made, especially for this bike, CB750 K7. If the top one was too long, it was like, okay, maybe different handlebars or whatever. But they're both too long, so either they thought we'll give them some extra slack or they have something wrong in their database. So we're gonna have to think about that. I am going to take a little break now because I actually am going on a holiday, so I have 2 weeks to think about what I'm going to do with this. Be back in a sec. Right, so we're back from our holiday, and I of course didn't think a single second about it, but once I got home and started working on the bike, I thought, oh yeah, that was one of those things that we had to figure out. And then I realized maybe it's just a smart thing, or the smart thing to do would be to ask the owner what he actually wants. So I told him, with the current setup that we have, there's basically 2 options that we have. Either we use the hard line and attach our brake line to that, so that would be around here. So we have quite a lot of slack. Or we take the hard line off altogether, use our regular line like this, and have it like this. So there's way less slack, but there is quite an awkward bend at the line. So I basically asked him, which one do you want? And he said, neither. He did have a pretty good suggestion, and the suggestion was actually, why not shorten our hard line? And I actually didn't think about it, but that's actually a pretty smart idea. So what the goal is, or what we're going to do now, is still use our hard line, but take quite a big chunk off of it. We basically want to attach our soft line right after this harsh bend. So the regular line doesn't have to have the harsh bend in it, which is nice. Still have a little bit of slack, but not that much. Probably also enough to use the old rubber grommet so we can attach it to our front fender. So it's more stock looking than not using the hard line at all, but having a little bit less slack in there, which also just looks better and less stock. So that's a pretty good idea. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to take the hard line out, and everything is just mounted very loosely in here, like that. So this is the entire length now, and we're basically just going to cut it right around here. Put a new trumpet thingy on there, and after that we should have a nice brake line setup going on. Alright, so we got the hard line in. Obviously everything's just mocked up, so nothing's tight, but just to get an idea. So we just have our 90-degree bend, and after that we go over in our soft line. Don't have like a whole lot of slack going on, but definitely enough. So this is looking pretty damn good. So I'm going to try and take the rubber holder thingy from the old line and push it on here. So to make it look even more factory, but this is looking pretty damn good. Let's see if we can get the camera to look in between here. As you can see here, there's more than enough space, so this isn't going to get stuck or anything. So this is really good. So I'm very happy with that. Alright, so now that we have our lines and everything mocked up, we're not actually going to put fluid in the system just yet, because we actually are going to take the front apart, because the front wheel obviously needs a new tire on it. I think I've read of somewhere that the tire is as old as the bike, so I have a feeling that this is still the original tire on there. So we're definitely not going to run that. So we're actually going to put on some nice tires. If I'm not mistaken, these are Bridgestone BT46, so the battle axis. If I remember correctly, Ryan F9 made a video about tires, and this was one of the tires that he definitely recommended for old timers, as in a lot of old bikes, they got very shitty frames, as you perhaps know, and this should really help align the bike with Ride Straight. Also got great ratings for basically everything. So we got some very good, nice tires going on there. So we got to take the front wheel out, and if we have to wait for the tires to be mounted anyway, might as well polish everything going on right here. And the easiest way to do this is to take it all apart. We're gonna have to take it apart anyway because of the wheel, and there you go. Let's do it. So the front end is apart. I had to take a quick little break because I had to go to work. That's fortunately over, so we can work on the bike again. So like I said, front end is apart. Got the wheel on the bench, and I've been trying to clean up the spokes. Unfortunately, the spokes are in not a super good condition. As you can see on some spots, the rust is coming through the very crappy paint job that was given to these spokes. They just rattle canned it silver. This is a pretty good example where you can see it's silver paint. I'm not really sure whether that shows up, but you have to believe me. So what I've been doing is using a wire wheel and some Scotch-Brite to clean the spokes up. For example, this one. And even though it's definitely still not perfect, it's looking way better than a couple of other spokes. So the idea is to give them all this finish. The rim itself is chrome. So I feel like this should be, if we clean this up properly and give it a little bit of a polish, the wheel in general should look way better. And once we put the new tire on as well, we'll have a spiffy new wheel. After the front is done, we'll take the back off as well. The drum is going to be relatively easy to polish, I hope. So that should be pretty easy, but these spokes as well are pretty nasty. So that's going to be quite a bit of work. Alright, so yesterday I've spent about 3.5 hours on this wheel, and Unfortunately, it's definitely not the result that I was looking for. I mean, the rim is kind of shiny, so that's good. For 50-year-old chrome, that's definitely okay. It's definitely some pitting and stuff like that going on, but it's nothing flaking off, and it's kind of shiny, so that's good. But the spokes is unfortunately a completely different story. I've spent, like I said, hours on these spokes, and at some point I just realized, okay, these are just never gonna come back. We got all the rust off, so I guess that's good. So it looks a little less crusty, but a lot of the paint was just really hard to get off, and I just realized, okay, maybe we just need to accept this and move on. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. I'm going to clean up the forks and the holder for the brake caliper thing. There are no real significant scratches in here. A couple minor ones, but no real big deal. So I think if we just clean these up properly, this should give a nice shine. I don't think I'm going for the highest polish possible, because I think it would look weird if these were like in immaculate condition and the wheels kind of mid looking. So we're gonna clean them up and give them way more shine, but we're not gonna give them like a true mirror finish, because that would just look off. But I think it's gonna clean up really nice, and once there's a new tire on here and everything, I think it will match pretty nicely. Forks are done. Pretty good finish. I think this will match the bike really good. It's definitely not a mirror finish, but it's also definitely quite shiny. Looking pretty good. Forks are done. Next up, rear wheel. All right, so the wheels are at the shop, and unfortunately they don't have the tubes for our wheels, and tomorrow's the weekend, so that means it's gonna take a couple of days, but it's not really that big of a deal because there's still plenty of stuff to do. I mean, the drum needs to be cleaned up and polished, all the chrome work needs to be polished, the gas tank needs to be emptied, the petcock needs to be checked, we need to put a new battery in, I want to replace the starter relay, we actually still need to put oil in, there's some other electrical ground lines that I need to figure out, the side cover has a tab broken off that we still need to glue on there, the emblems need to come off, cleaned up, and get some new paint. Plenty of stuff to do. I think it would be most logical to continue with polishing, seeing how we've been doing that for I don't know how many hours, but I really don't feel like it at this point. So we're gonna skip that step just for now. So what I really want to tackle is emptying this gas tank and see whether we can get the petcock to work or not. So we got our gas tank on the workbench, and as you can see, no matter what position you put this petcock in, nothing is coming out. If we open up our gas tank, which is quite dusty at the moment. Let's see. It also really smells like something that used to be gas but isn't gas anymore. It's a little bit of surface rust in there, but in general it's actually not that bad. So we are going to try and drain it. So unfortunately I don't have like one of those things that a lot of people use to bleed the brakes and stuff like that, so I'm not able to suck it out. Like I said, the petcock isn't working, so we can't use that to drain our gas tank. So what I'm actually going to try and do, and I know this is gonna bite me in the ass, but I'm going to try anyway, is I'm just going to try and take the petcock off and hold a bottle underneath it and hopefully catch like at least 90%. I have a feeling this is gonna go horribly wrong, but yeah, we're just gonna give it a go. Fuck it, let's do it. Maybe we should think ahead. Maybe we should put the gas tank on its side so there's no gas right here. So this kind of seems like a better idea, so I feel like now we could just probably take the petcock off. Oh yeah. Ooh, would you look at that? Oh my god, what the hell? The gunk on this thing is quite something. It's literally like a glue. So yeah, that's a new experience. That's fun. Look at me not spilling. All right, so we have our petcock cleaned up. Also, it's not leaking thus far, so that's very good news. So next up would be the inside of the gas tank. I tried to show you earlier, but completely failed at it. But there is some rust in there, not necessarily too worried about it, but there's just a bunch of junk. And I think if we're just going to pour gas in here now, it's either gonna clog up the petcock again, or either a filter or even the carbs. So to avoid that, it would be best to clean it up. So I bought some vinegar. We are going to dilute it with water, not necessarily because I want to or because it's necessary, but this is all they had left, and it's obviously not enough. And diluting it with water is fine. It's just a regular white vinegar. All right, so it has been well over 48 hours, more like 72 actually. Let's take a look. Alrighty, here we go. And as you can see, the water is super nasty, which in this case is exactly what we want. And as you can see right here, the rust is rubbing right off. So that's exactly what we wanted, so I'm very happy with that. So what we're gonna do right now is dump it out and check out our results. All right, let's give it a last little shake. I mean, it's pretty dang full, so. In you go. One tablespoon of baking soda per liter to neutralize it. Right, the gas tank's back on the bike. The inside is looking pretty dang good. There is a little bit of flash rusting going on, but nothing truly worth mentioning. I'm pretty happy with the result, with all the gunk that we got out. And yeah, should give us a stable supply of at least relatively clean gas in the future. So I'm very happy with that. Obviously the gas tank on the outside still needs some love as well. We definitely need to clean up and polish the paint. And the emblems as well, as you can obviously see, definitely deserve some love. But we are going to wait that until the very last moment, until we can clean up the entire bike. In the meantime, I was able to pick up the wheels back from the tire shop, and they're looking pretty good. The rims are a little bit nasty with the grease that they used. That just kind of dried up, so we'll have to clean that up a bit. But in general, I'm very happy with the result. Also very happy that they used the old school style weights that you just put on the spokes instead of on the rim. I just feel like it gives a little bit of a cleaner look. So I'm very happy with that. So we're just gonna clean these up and throw them back on the bike. But before we throw the rear wheel back on the bike, I would definitely want to clean up our drum brake. With the rim looking all nice and shiny, especially if we clean it up again, I think it would be a really nice contrast to have a shiny drum and a shiny rim, and then like a stainless looking hub and spokes. It's quite a hassle to take the drum out, of course, because you have to take the entire wheel out. So we definitely are going to polish this before we put the entire thing back together. So we're going to clean this up, scuff it up with a Scotch-Brite pad, and then give it a quick polish. And after that, we should have a pretty nice finish going on. Here's a quick little before. All right. Wheel, drum brake is done. To be honest, I was hoping for a little bit of a better finish, but there's also how much time do I want to put into this thing. It's nice and shiny, there's a reflection in it. It matches the rim quite nicely, I think, so definitely good enough for now. Which means that we can slowly start putting the bike together, which is great. So we're gonna throw this bad boy back on the bike and move on from there. All right, that's done. So we can put our forks back in. Right, got the front end finally on. Was having a little bit of trouble with putting in the wheel properly, and that's because the inners are actually slightly bent. The bend isn't that severe that I'm worried or anything. It's 50 years old, it's kind of to be expected. But all in all, I'm definitely not worried about it. So we got the front end together. So with that done, what I would really like to do is check all of our bolts, torque everything to spec, put the new spark plugs in. In the meantime, we also fixed our side cover so that can go back on. We're not gonna do that though, because we still need to fill her up with oil. We're putting in a little bit heavier oil than usual, but I think the engine will really like it. All right, so we've been making some pretty serious progress. The bike's basically ready to go. All we have to do is bleed the front brake. Haven't done that yet. We have some minor cosmetic things that I want to do, like the emblems right here. So this one's pretty decent, but on the other side, as you can see, the paint's almost completely off. That's been bothering me quite a bit. So we're just gonna scuff this up, put some new flat black on there, so that should make the gas tank pop a little bit more. After that, pretty much give it a wash and take it for a spin. Pretty exciting, also kind of nerve-wracking. Right, so I think the bike knows that we are about to take a test ride, because things have not been going very smoothly. The breather bolt nut thing, whatever you want to call it, it's either not for this caliper or this caliper is fucked up. I think it's the nipple that's just not closing off, because as you can see, there's fluid in the line and still fluid in here. Shouldn't be any air left. Tighten this one down, but if I squeeze the brake, as you can see. So obviously this is a problem. Bike's basically ready for a test ride. All we have to do is hook up the fuel line and it's ready to go. In the meantime, I actually also figured out all the electrical stuff. So everything is looking good and the bike's basically ready to go, but obviously we need a front brake. But the threads in here, they're just, they're fucked. Don't really know how else to put it. So I talked to the owner, said what he wanted to do. I said we can try and drill it out and put a helicoil in it. We both kind of agreed that that's probably not the best idea. We talked about just buying a new one or a repop, but if it works, it works. And we talked about drilling it out and tapping threads for an M8 bleeder nipple. So that's what we are going to do. Right, forgive the shaky image because I'm holding the caliper and the camera in one hand. This is, I think, the best I'll be able to show it to you. But yeah, if you can see like this light point right there, right on the bottom, and I guess with this current angle, like kind of the bottom right side, you can see this kind of lighter thing. Yeah, all right. So you probably can't see it, but I think that's actually the main reason that it's not going to work out. Fuck it, we'll try it anyway. I mean, it's just time, right? Alright, so unfortunately this is not going to work. As you can see, it's all the way in, but if I blow air through here, yeah, obviously you can't see air, but let me tell you, when I do this, I can feel it on the inside right here, so that means that fluid would just come straight out. That probably has to do with the drilling before. Like I showed you earlier, that hole that I don't know whether it was the previous owner or the owner before that or whatever, but yeah, it's just not gonna work. That being said, we're gonna have to let that go now for a second. So what I want to do is actually clean up these emblems, both of them. This one in particular, because it just makes the bike look way shabbier than it is, which is unfortunate. So we're just gonna take it off, and I think we'll just use like a Scotch-Brite pad or something to scuff this up and put some new flat black paint on there. That's what's originally on there. But after that, except for the brake, the entire bike is done. So I really want to take this thing for a test ride. We'll probably find some things that we need to fine tune or fix or whatever. But we are pretty much there. So I think this is a really good moment just to clean these up and kind of get the bike looking the way it's supposed to. Right, paint on the emblems is drying. It's already pretty clean, but I want to give the letters a quick little polish, and we're definitely not going to do that until the paint is completely dry. So we'll clean up the gas tank in every single way possible, so that by the time that the emblems have completely dried and we put them on, it'll look slick. Let's do it. So, I don't know how well you can tell, but you can see all these little white spots, right? I'm assuming that's just painting something and not noticing that you're spraying all over your bike. The only way I'm getting them off is by individually scratching every single spot off. Quite labor intensive. Wanted to show you all the stupid things that I'm doing, so here you go. Alright, so as you can tell, the gas tank is starting to look really dang good. Still definitely have a couple of those white spots that I need to take care of. But in general, I think the gas tank is starting to look really good. The paint on the emblem cleaned up really nice, and especially with the chrome piping underneath the gas tank here, I think that's a very nice finishing touch. I was worried it might look a little bit tacky, but I actually think it looks pretty dang good, so I'm very happy with that. In the meantime, a decision has also been made. So I actually already ordered a new front brake caliper, or used but refurbished caliper. So we gotta wait a couple of days for that. In the meantime, we don't have much to do really. So what I'm going to do while we wait is just clean up all other small parts and bits. That's a little bit easier to clean up while it's on the lift right now. So I'm not gonna bore you with any of that stuff. I'll get back to you once the caliper is here. We can slap that on and finally take this bike for its first test ride. All right, brake caliper is finally here. Gonna throw this on the bike, take it on the first test ride.
All right, we're finally doing it. The riding part. Man, I've been waiting for a long time. Before we start talking about anything else, I want to quickly apologize for the audio quality. I have zero experience with creating a good helmet setup, so if the audio is bad, I'm sorry. This is just how it's going to be. But after the last shot that I said that we're quickly going to throw the brake on and take it for a ride, well, I did take it for a ride for about 200 meters, and I realized that the neck bearings were completely shot. It was super hard to steer this bike and felt really off. So we of course had to take it back to the shed, take the entire front end apart again, and so yeah, that was something. After that I was like, okay, maybe it's been working, everything's been working fine. I've done a million startups and everything, and it constantly worked fine. But I haven't never really checked the charging system, so before we do this last ride, maybe just check the charging system as well. And that wasn't really good as well. It's not depleting the battery, but it's also not really charging it. So that was a nice little game of cat and mouse, trying to figure out what is the reason that the battery's not properly charging. So I checked as much as I could. I thought it was probably going to be a bad ground, but unfortunately the charging system is just on its last leg. I mean, these charging systems are quite notorious for breaking, and it just is what it is.
Quick editor's note here. Turns out that the charging system is completely fine. What happened was the cap on the regulator was mounted the wrong way around. That cap has a little sticker that indicates which wire goes where. Therefore, the wires were in the wrong position. We switched those around, and now the battery is charging beautifully.
The owner of this bike, fortunately, is a very knowledgeable guy. He knows how old things work. He actually works for a company that restores pre-war cars. So if you can do that, you can fix a charging system on a CB750, no worries. I mean, what can I say? It's a 50-year-old bike. Stuff like that is going to happen. It has these typical ailments that a 50-year-old bike has. So now that we got all the complaining out of the way, let's talk about how fucking awesome this bike is. We sync the carbs and everything, of course. We did that in the previous video, and man, you can tell that this thing is dialed in. It's buttery smooth. It doesn't matter what gear you're in, there's not a single hiccup or anything. It's just super smooth, super fun to ride. Full throttle, half throttle, doesn't matter. It's always going to be buttery smooth. Can't right here. Let's turn around real quick. As you can see, the neutral light is on. I don't know if you can actually see that, but the neutral light tends to go on every once in a while. I think there's just some smudge left in the gearbox, which is grounding the switch out. When I took it on the first ride, it did it for like 2 shifts, and after that it went away. It's right here now. I wouldn't be surprised after a couple of gear shifts it's gonna go away again as well. Like I said, typical 50-year-old bike ailments. The funny thing is that it is, the neutral light is shining, but it's very dim. And if you put it in neutral, it's way brighter. So there's still a pretty obvious difference. So you'll definitely know when you've put it in neutral. But yeah, here we are, baby. It's we're riding this thing after a really long time. So good. It's, as you can see, there's no death wobble or anything. Yeah, I'm really happy with this bike, man. I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. I'm also happy that we didn't try to restore it, but we just gave it a full-on revival. Like, in my opinion, the scars on the bike actually look kind of good. If I were to buy this for myself, I could definitely imagine wanting to eventually clean up the gas tank and take out the last little dents and stuff like that. But at the same time, I mean, it's a 50-year-old bike. You want it to look like a 50-year-old bike. Already kind of does, because it's very obvious that it's an old bike, but I think you get what I mean, right? So we're just cruising now, and definitely still have to find my confidence on this thing. I mean, it is a 50-year-old bike, so you can't just whip it around every corner and just trust everything like you do on a modern bike. But it's super smooth. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with how well the engine is performing. Like I said, 0 hiccups or anything. I'm really enjoying this this thing, man. Yeah, she's good. She's real good. Hey, as you can see, the neutral light turned off again. Like I said, old bike ailments, they'll usually figure themselves out. Now imagine this, it's 1978 and you worked your butt off the entire summer, because you know, stuff was affordable back then, and you finally got your motorcycle. It's one of the fastest bikes out there, it's beautiful, it's the sickest sports bike on the market right now, and you've got the last week of summer off, and all you're going to do is ride this thing every single day.
Alright, so this is it. Obviously I'm super happy. It is a 50-year-old bike. It still needs things. It's weeping a little bit of oil here and there. It's weeping a little bit of gas here and there. The inners from the front forks are also slightly bent. The paint needs a little bit of work. Some of the chrome isn't as good as it was in 1978, but in general, dude, this is such a good bike. I feel like if you made it to this part in the video, there's a pretty big chance that you actually quite enjoyed watching this video. So if that's true, a subscription to this channel is completely free and would help me out so much. I'm really still trying to reach 1,000 subs. We're less than 250 subs away from reaching that goal. So if you could help me with that, I would greatly appreciate it. Yeah. That's gonna do it for this video, man. I want to thank you so much for watching and stick around for the new projects. I love you.